welcome. Hope you've already looked at class assignment 1 and 2 properly. Class assignment 1 was important because it was covering aspects of history, polity, as well as geography. And the second part, the second assignment, was dealing with brands, the taglines that were important, and of course certain warm-up exercises and current affairs. So let's just quickly dive into the general awareness section, class assignment part 3. This is predominantly dealing with important questions that are asked in your exams related to important books that have been written by leaders, by sportsmen, by important politicians or actors, as well as important days that you're having. For example, if you're having the World Non-Violence Day, when is the Mandela's Day celebrated? So there are certain important days that you need to keep in your mind. Any new inventions that have taken place, who are the people who've invented that? Management communication will also be covered. But over here, let's just quickly look at the warm-up exercise that you have for class assignment part 3. Let's just quickly get started. The first question is dealing with the component of history, and I'm sure you all will be able to answer it. The Britishers came to India as traders and formed company named. See, the Britishers, they came to India as traders, and what did they form? They formed the East India Company, right? What did they found? They formed the East India Company. This is something that I'm sure all of you got the correct answer, right? So the East India Company is the correct answer for this, because the Britishers, they came to India. Remember, in the previous videos we have looked at who gave permission to the Britishers to set up the first important industry. Jahangir gave permission to set up a proper infrastructure, and that too in Surat. This is a question that we've discussed, so you can revise this, that the Britishers actually entered with the permission of the Mughal Emperor Jahangir, and they set up their office in Surat. Alright, do keep this in mind. So the East India Company, that's a correct answer, that the Britishers entered India as traders from the East, and they formed the East India Company. This is also called the English East India Company. Alright. Now, please remember that this particular company that you have, this was incorporated in the 1600, right? It was basically a trading body, but later it became a vehicle for Britishers' project of imperialism. Please remember, imperialism and colonialism. Imperialism is coming from the word imperial, which means superior. So the Britishers have this idea, white man's burden, that it's their duty, their responsibility to Christianize the entire world, right? And colonization, they made a colony out of all the countries mostly, right, who could not fight against them. So that's the process of colonization, that they were creating their own colonies, right? So earlier this was, of course, previously this was a proper trading company, but later it served the purpose of Britishers and their imperialistic project. Okay, do keep this in mind. This is important. All right. So this company was, of course, extremely helpful in the project of expansion. All right. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. For the expansion of the British influence, this company was extremely helpful. Alright, again a very important question. This is coming from world history. It's very simple. You need to keep this in mind. This form of writing was used by the Egyptians. So the Egyptians are using this kind of writing. Alright, now what is this kind of writing called? This kind of writing is called hieroglyphics. Alright, please remember this. This is a very common question. So the Egyptians used to use a form of writing, as you can see in this image. And what is this form of writing called? This form of writing is called hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics is the correct answer. Please remember that. So the hieroglyphics, these were basically the way through which the ancient Egyptians were writing. This was a distinctive script that they were using. Alright, so this was a distinctive script that they were using, and they were, of course, written on papyrus. And they were used to decorate many objects of cultic and daily life use. Okay, so this is also something that you can keep in mind. So the ancient Egyptian writing, that is using your hieroglyphics. This is something that you can remember. Hieros is coming from the word that means sacred, and glyph word is coming from the use of the word carving. As you can see in the image also, the first slide that we saw, there were proper carvings. These are carvings. These are carvings that you can see that they're using as writings. Alright. So the ancient Egyptians were using the hieroglyphics. What were they using? They were using the hieroglyphs as a way of writing. Please remember this. The members of the Lok Sabha hold office for a term of. The members of the Lok Sabha are holding office for a term of 5 years, right? The members of the Lok Sabha are holding office for a term of 5 years, alright? This is something that you need to keep in mind. So please remember this. This becomes extremely crucial. So the members of the Lok Sabha will be holding office for a period of 5 years. So the members of the Lok Sabha will hold office for a term of 5 years. They will hold office for a term of 5 years. Remember, the members of the Rajya Sabha is a permanent body. However, 1/3 of its members, they are getting dissolved after every 2 years. So please remember, unlike the Rajya Sabha, the Lok Sabha which is there, which is passing your money bills, finance bills. हमने ये भी किया हुआ है कि आपके money bills, finance bills जो हैं वो सिर्फ लोक सभा में पास होते हैं. Rajya Sabha is not having any power over it. So you need to remember that Rajya Sabha is a permanent body. 1/3 of its members will get dissolved in every 2 years. But when you talk about the Lok Sabha, they'll hold office for a term of 5 years. Who is the author of the book A Suitable Boy? Please remember Vikram Seth. Vikram Seth, very famous writer. His very famous book A Suitable Boy, right? So Vikram Seth is the correct answer over here. Vikram Seth is the correct answer. This novel is of course a love story which is talking about Lata, her mother Rupa Mehra, how they are trying to find a match, a suitable boy for Lata. Okay, that is how you're getting the title. The title is coming. अच्छा, एक और चीज बच्चे याद रखना, कई बार एक वर्ड आता है आपका एपिनोमस. एपिनोमस, राइट? व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय द वर्ड एपिनोमस? एपिनोमस मीन्स दैट द title, right? The title of the work is having the main actors or the main protagonist's name. For example, if I say मैरी कॉम इज अ बुक, ओके, तो मैरी कॉम जो बुक है उस बुक में मैरी कॉम इज द मेन राइटर. सो दिस इज एन एपिनॉमस वर्क. सो इफ द टाइटल ऑफ योर बुक इज इक्वल टू द टाइटल ऑफ योर प्रोटैगनिस्ट सेंट्रल कैरेक्टर, देन इट इज कॉल्ड एन एपिनॉमस वर्क. एपिनॉमस वर्क, प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस. ओके, सो हु इज द सूटेबल बॉय? सूटेबल बॉय इज अ मैच फॉर लता, राइट? लता. एंड दिस इज सेट इन द 1950s. दिस इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द इंटायर कम्युनिटी that you can see. It's telling you for large extended family story. So it's a very famous story, A Suitable Boy, that is written by Vikram Seth, talking about the period of 1950s, and it is covering the entire process of India's obsession with getting people married, and in that it's also showing about the Indian society. Who's the author of the following books? Now ये जो आपका क्वेश्चन है आपके असाइनमेंट में मैच द फॉलोइंग की तरह है, तो यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हो. दिस इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस. इंडिया डिवाइडेड, बच्चे, इंडिया डिवाइडेड इज अ वर्क ऑफ राजेंद्र प्रसाद. इंडिया डिवाइडेड इज अ वर्क ऑफ राजेंद्र प्रसाद. इंडिया, अभी मैं आपको ये लिखवाऊंगी भी अच्छी तरह से. दिस इज अ वर्क ऑफ राजेंद्र प्रसाद, राइट? डिस्कवरी ऑफ इंडिया, डिस्कवरी ऑफ इंडिया इज अ वर्क बाय पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू. पंडित जवाहरलाल Nehru, our first prime minister. India wins freedom. India, this is India, not Indian. India wins freedom. India wins freedom is a work by Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. एंड ऑफकोर्स कि लास्ट वाला तो अब आपको पता ही चल गया होगा, वाई आई एम एन एथीस्ट. ये बच्चे एक ऐसे है, ठीक है? ये बुक नहीं है एक्चुअली, बुक फॉर्म में पब्लिश्ड है. ये एक ऐसे है विच इज़ रिटन बाय भगत सिंह. वैसे भी शहीदी दिवस जो था आपका 23rd मार्च इज सेलिब्रेटेड एज शहीदी दिवस, राइट? तो तब भी भगत सिंह के पूरा का जो भगत सिंह वॉज इन न्यूज एट दैट टाइम ऑल्सो. सो यू कैन रिमेंबर दिस, वाई आई एम एन एथीस्ट. दिस इज एन ऐसे रिटन बाय भगत सिंह. सो इंडिया डिवाइडेड, दिस इज रिटन बाय Rajendra Prasad. He was the first president of India, right? And here when you're talking about Rajendra Prasad, he joined the Indian National Congress during the Indian struggle movement, right? He was an important leader from Bihar and he was a supporter of Mahatma Gandhi. He is of course important because he was imprisoned during the Salt Satyagraha movement. You need to remember this. This is written on the slide also. During the Salt Satyagraha movement, he was the person who was imprisoned. So you can remember this. And please remember, he played an extremely active role during the Quit India movement as well. Prasad served as the president of the National Congress also from 1934 to 35. And when we're talking about the 1946 elections, he also served as the minister. So the first important president that we have, he's written the book India Divided. This is a book that you need to remember. This is written by Rajendra Prasad. The other book that we spoke about, The Discovery of India, written by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has also written the famous book Glimpses of the World History. So Glimpses of World History and The Discovery of India. Glimpses of World History and The Discovery of India. These are two books that you need to remember that have been written by Jawaharlal Nehru. These are very scoring questions, and you need to remember that when you're talking about Nehru, he was a statesman. He's written widely important works that have been written about him. Here, of course, he's talking about the entire process of India's development, right? So, The Discovery of India and Glimpses of World History, written by Jawaharlal Nehru. India Wins Freedom, written by Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. India Wins Freedom, this is an account of partition written by Maulana Azad's perspective. This is talking about his personal experience of India's independence, right? And his own notions about freedom and liberty. This is very autobiographical work, India Wins Freedom, right? And this is also talking about the entire events that took place. The book is talking about how politics was responsible for the partition of the country. So he even says that the partition of the country happened because of politics that were there, and how states in India failed to maximize its potential when they gained independence. It's discussing important issues, important leaders also. So you can remember India Wins Freedom, an account of partition, written. It's more autobiographical, right? And it's blaming politics for the partition of India, written by Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad. And Why I Am an Atheist, this is an essay that is written by Bhagat Singh. And this essay was written in 1930 in the Lahore Center Jail. This was a reply to his friends who said that you've become an atheist. Atheist, a person who disbelieves God, right? A disbeliever in God. ऐसा व्यक्ति जो कि भगवान पे भरोसा नहीं करता है, that person is called an atheist. So Why I Became an Atheist, Why I Am an Atheist, Why I Am an Atheist, this is written by Bhagat Singh, right? You can remember that Bhagat Singh was a member of Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. This was of course a revolutionary party. There were extremists and moderates. तो आपके history में आपने पढ़ा भी हुआ था. Extremists were those people who were using violence to fight against the Britishers, extremists, right? And then you had the modernists. Modernists were not people who were using violence, right? The modernists were people who were using non-violent ways and diplomatic ways and political ways, right? To get modernists were people who were using diplomatic ways. So this, of course, Why I Am an Atheist, this book has been written by him. And like I said, March 23rd was a Shahidi Divas. So you can remember this because on 23rd March 1931, they were executed. The people who were executed, Sukhdev, Rajguru and Bhagat Singh, they were executed, right? So you can just remember this. This is extremely important. What did J.B. Dunlop invent? Okay, अब हुआ क्या था, J.B. Dunlop का जो son था, he was not feeling well, so the doctor had advised him to make sure that he is able to ride a bicycle, right? For the bicycle he had to make proper rubber tires, right? So J.B. Dunlop is responsible for the creation of pneumatic rubber tires. Pneumatic rubber tires were invented by J.B. Dunlop. Please remember this, okay? So J.B. Dunlop, that's John Boyd Dunlop. He invented pneumatic tires. Rubber tires were invented by him. एक doctor ने उन्हें recommend किया था that his 9-year-old son was sick, so he said it'll be better if he could ride a bicycle, and that too a bicycle which was not jarring. पहले बहुत ही rubber से पहले वाला जो आपका bicycle riding होता था, that was extremely rough. So Dunlop therefore created this pneumatic wire tire, right? So he created this pneumatic rubber tire. So please remember this when you're talking about pneumatic rubber tire. This was invented by John Boyd Dunlop. Okay, which scientist discovered the radioactive element radium? Everyone should know the answer. Marie Curie, along with her husband. Marie Curie is a person who discovered the radioactive element radium. Okay. Fields Medal is given in which subject? As you can see over here, Fields Medal is given in the subject of mathematics, in the area of mathematics. Fields Medal is given for mathematics. Fields Medal is given for mathematics. So Fields Medal, it's also called officially known as International Medal for Outstanding Discoveries in Mathematics. It is awarded. This is basically an award granted to two to four mathematicians for their research. So please remember this. This is important, that Fields Medal is given in the area of mathematics. Fields Medal is given in the area of mathematics. Okay. So this is something that you can keep in mind. What is Mendeleev's contribution to the modern day science? I'm sure all of you remember from your science chapter that he was the person responsible for creating the periodic table, right? He is the person who's created the periodic table. So this is something that you can keep in mind. He is a person responsible for creating the periodic table. So Mendeleev's greatest contribution to science is the periodic table of elements, right? Which is talking about the properties of base elements which are repeating periodically when they're arranged in their atomic number. So he's made this discovery in 1869, and it's of course a very important work when you talk about chemistry. So Mendeleev's biggest contribution is the periodic table of elements. Very important question and very simple as well. Which is the world's longest river? The world's longest river that you have is the river Nile. Okay, now please remember, you need to remember the 5 most important longest rivers, right? Because you can get a question differently put. So of course you need to remember that Nile River with the entire it's having, when you talk about Nile, it's 6,650 kilometers long, 6,650 kilometers long in length. Nile River of Northeast Africa is a lifeline of a number of countries, right? 11 countries particularly, like Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, South Sudan, and Egypt, right? They all are sharing. So you can remember that 11 countries share the water of River Nile, which is having a length of 6,650 kilometers. So this is one question that you need to remember, the length of Nile. That length of Nile is 6,650 kilometers, and 11 countries use the water of Nile. This is something that you can remember. Please remember, Amazon is the second longest and largest by water flow. So when you talk about the largest by water flow, it is of course topping the charts, but it's the second longest river. This is the river of South America. It's the second longest river in the world, and this is having a length of 6,400 kilometers. So 6,650 kilometers is the length of Nile. This is the length of Nile, which is going from 11 countries. So 11 countries in the African continent are taking water from it, and 6,400 kilometers is the length of Amazon. One more thing that you need to remember, that it is the largest river by water flow with an average discharge greater than the next 7 largest rivers combined. Okay, but when you talk about the water flow, this is the largest, right? Largest in the water flow, but when you talk about the longest in length, of course Nile is bigger, but in water flow Amazon is great. It flows through Brazil, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Guyana. So you can remember this. This becomes important, that it's flowing across 7 countries of South American continent, like Brazil, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Guyana. Okay, now this is another important question. The third longest river that you have, the Yangtze River. Yangtze River is flowing in China. This is the longest river in Asia. So if you get a question that which is the longest river in Asia, then your correct answer would not be Nile, because Nile is based in the African subcontinent. Yangtze will be the correct answer. So this is flowing in China. The Yangtze River is not only the third longest river in the world, but also the longest river in Asia. It is having a length of 6,300 kilometers, right? 6,300 kilometers. So 6,650 kilometers is Nile, 6,400 kilometers is Amazon, but the largest in volume, Amazon, and then Yangtze, which is the largest in Asia, longest in Asia, sorry, is having the length of 6,300 kilometers. Okay, then Mississippi, Missouri. Mississippi, Missouri is again a very important river. It is having the fourth longest river. It's considered to be the fourth longest river in the world, that is located in North America. Okay, it flows towards the Gulf of Mexico, and it has presence in two countries, the United States of America and Canada. So Mississippi, Missouri, Mississippi, Missouri, Mississippi, Missouri, this is the fourth longest. And Yangtze is having a length of 5,539 kilometers. This is flowing mainly in Russia and Mongolia, okay. So please remember about all the 5 rivers. When you talk about Nile, it's the longest, and Amazon is having the largest water, okay, largest water flow. The 11th BRICS Summit 2019 was held. So when you talk about BRICS, that's Brazil, Russia, India, and China. These 4 countries which are hailed as to be future superpower, and of course South Africa. Now please remember that when we talk about the 11th BRICS Summit 2019 was held in Brazil itself. Last year also it was held in Brazil, and in 2019 also it was held in Brazil, like the previous one before 2019. So 2019 BRICS Summit, which was the 11th annual BRICS Summit. This was 11th, all right. And this particular, it was held in November itself. This was an international relations conference that was attended by heads of states of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And this took place in the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, right, where the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Affairs is located in Brazil. Okay, so you can remember this was important. So here you can see about the BRICS member state. The 11th BRICS was there in 2019. It was focusing on economic growth for an innovative future. And of course, these were the important agendas that were discussed, predominantly related to digital development and digital economy, digital role that digital data can play. Now, please remember Brazil, रशिया, इंडिया, चाइना एंड साउथ अफ्रीका. अभी रिसेंटली क्या हुआ था, कोविड-19 के केस में ना, ब्राज़ीलियन आपका जो प्रेसिडेंट था वो वाज अ होस्ट. ओके, ब्राज़ीलियन प्रेसिडेंट की वीपिंग इमेज को इटली का प्रेसिडेंट की तरह बता दिया गया था कि इटली का लीडर इज क्राइंग, बट दैट वाज रॉन्ग. प्लीज रिमेंबर ही वाज ब्राज़ील्स प्रेसिडेंट that we were talking about, so you can remember that. Okay, do remember the names also of these leaders. Of course, Xi Jinping everyone knows about mostly, but you should remember the other leaders also because they're important BRIC leaders, right? Okay, World Bank is also known as, World Bank is also known as International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So the World Bank is also called IBRD, International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, right? So the World Bank is an international development organization that is owned by 187 countries. Okay, what is the role? It wants to reduce poverty by lending money to the governments of the poorer members, right? ताकि आप अपने standard of living को improve कर सको. बैंक जो है ये largest research centers है in development, right? एक और चीज़ जो आपको याद रखनी है कि वर्ल्ड बैंक इंस्टीट्यूट भी है जो ट्रेनिंग देता है गवर्नमेंट्स को. अच्छा, वर्ल्ड बैंक इस्टेब्लिश कैसे हुआ था? 1944 में यूरोप एंड जापान को रीबिल्ड करने के लिए वर्ल्ड बैंक की डेवलपमेंट हुई थी, एंड देयरफॉर द ऑफिशियल नेम इज इंटरनेशनल बैंक फॉर रिकंस्ट्रक्शन एंड डेवलपमेंट, क्योंकि ये आपको यूरोप और जापान को हील करने में मदद कर रहा था. इट वाज हेल्पिंग यूरोप एंड जापान टू हील. हील के लिए आप एक और वर्ड क्या यूज कर सकते हो? हील के लिए एक और वर्ड दैट कैन बी यूज इज रेक्यूपरेट. हील के लिए एक और वर्ड दैट यू कैन यूज इज रेक्यूपरेट, राइट? रेक्यूपरेट इज another word that you can use, right? They first began their operations in 1946, and of course they had 38 members, and now most of the countries are members. Okay, moving on, Park Avenue, Parks, Color Plus and Manzoni etc. brands of which company. Manzoni का जो आपका पूरा स्टोर था वो अब बंद हो चुका है 2011 में, but these are all brands associated with Raymond. Okay, Park Avenue, Parks, Color Plus and Manzoni, they are all brands associated with Raymond. So brands का भी आपके important होती है. Who has been appointed as a brand ambassador for Vivo smartphone? As you can see in the image, Amir Khan has been appointed as a brand ambassador for Vivo smartphones. Okay, so the brand ambassador for Vivo smartphones is none other than Amir Khan. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana is associated with. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana wants to bring inclusion in the banking sector. ये 2014 में finance minister at that time was Arun Jaitley. It was introduced by the Prime Minister. So when you talk about the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, this is one of the biggest financial inclusion initiatives in the world. It was announced by the Prime Minister in 2014 from the ramparts of the Red Fort. And one thing that you need to remember, he used the Sanskrit part which says that, you know, economic activity is the onus of the states. Economic activity is also the dharma of the state. So therefore he started the Jan Dhan Yojana. All right. Now please remember, this is trying to give financial inclusion and wants to provide banking services to all households in the country. Okay, so this was in the banking sector. Who's called the Iron Man of India? Please remember, when you talk about Vallabhbhai Patel is referred to as the Iron Man of India. Okay, so Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he's referred to as the Iron Man of India. अच्छा, इनको Iron Man क्यों कहा जाता है बच्चे? इनको Iron Man इसलिए कहा जाता है because जब इंडिया का इंडिपेंडेंस हुआ था, at that time princely states were not willing to come along, right? Princely states were not ready to be a part of independent India. That's when Nehru said that we will force them, all right? We will make sure that, you know, we are fighting against them and we are winning over. But Vallabhbhai Patel suggested, he said, no, that's not the correct way. He diplomatically got all the princely states together when India was gaining its independence. तभी इनको Iron Man of India कहा जाता है because he convinced over 500 scattered princely states to be a part of Union of India, whereas Nehru was more keen towards applying force for some of these states, right? So he diplomatically ensured, and therefore is called the Iron Man of India. The Statue of Unity, which is one of the largest statues which we'll talk about, is also based on Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Okay, so Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, called the Iron Man of India because he enabled the integration of princely states, right? So the integration of princely states to the Indian Union was there. So he is the person who was instrumental. He was the person who guided them. So here Vallabhbhai Patel, he was a barrister from Gujarat. He was very reluctant to join politics, right? But he is one of the key architects of modern India. And he persuaded successfully over 500 princely states to be a part of independent India, right? So Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru had warned that no princely state could survive the strength of independent India's army, but Patel convinced all the rulers. So Patel diplomatically and bloodlessly, right? Bloodlessly. So he used bloodless methods. Bloodless methods were used by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, right? So this is something that you can remember. And the statue of unity that you are having, right? So you can just remember, this is world's tallest statue, which is standing at a height of 182 meters. This is world's tallest statue. This is the world's tallest statue. Larsen and Toubro got the contract. They completed this entire project, right? This project was, of course, very controversial. Why? Because of the fact that the cost was huge. But still you can remember that this is the world's largest, world's tallest statue that's standing at 182 meters. The UNO was formed in, the United Nations organization was formed in 1945, okay? 1st January 1942, the United Nations term was coined. So, अगर आपका question आएगा, when was the term United Nations coined? That was 1942, right? So United Nations was coined by Franklin D. Roosevelt, right? But when you talk about when did they actually came to power, was properly formed in 1945, okay? In 1945, because the United Nations officially is coming to power on 24th October 1945, where representatives of 50 countries, they met in San Francisco at the United Nations conference, and they drew up the United Nations Charter. So you need to remember that the UNO was formed in 1945. The UNO was formed in 1945, but it was suggested in 1942 by President D. Roosevelt, right? The charter was signed by 50 representatives, right? And that is how on 24th October 1945, you had the United Nations coming into existence, right? So please do keep this in mind. And United Nations Day, the UN Day, the United Nations Day is celebrated on 24th October every year. United Nations came into proper force in 1945, 24th October. Therefore, 24th October is celebrated as a UN Day, How many rings are present on the Olympic flag? Please remember, 5 rings are present, and all 5 rings are representing 5 continents, right? They are representing 5 continents that you can be aware about. So there are 5 rings, players of 5 continents coming together and playing the Olympic. So the Olympic flag has 5 rings, okay, standing for Europe, Africa, America, Asia, Australia. So the 5 interlocked rings in the Olympic flag, they represent 5 continents, right? How the people will be meeting, the athletes will be meeting. And please remember, the 2020 Olympic game has now been postponed and it will be held in 2021, okay, as per the news as of now. Alright, and please remember the color also. You have blue, you've got yellow, you've got black, you've got green and red. So please remember all these colors and also these continents, they are important. Which country is called the sugar bowl of the world? Very simple. Cuba is called the sugar bowl of the world. So when we speak about Cuba, Cuba is a country that's called the sugar bowl of the world. Until 1960, Cuba was the largest sugar exporter in the world. So therefore, it is called the sugar bowl of the world. Okay. Of course, now Brazil has started leading in sugar production. India is also producing, but Cuba has been producing 3.2 million metric tons due to its political melodrama that is there. But because it got the name, so therefore popularly Cuba is called the sugar bowl of the world. Pali is a language, right, that was used especially for scriptures, right? So Pali is a language that was used for the Buddhist scriptures, right? The Buddhist details being passed off in Pali. So here we have looked at the warm-up exercise. We've covered the first 20 questions. If in case you're having any doubts, you can always connect and make sure that you are asking your doubts, because that equally becomes important. Remember that these things will be important when you talk about your current affairs. So always make it a point to revise them thoroughly.